again, research is fine. Like finding out what people really need in the community is fine. But if you want to really address what's happening, just send the resources into the communities with those people. You don't need to research it. I promise you, just send the resources there. Buongiorno freaks and geeks, welcome back to the channel. If you ever needed a bigger recession indicator, look no further than this video. I am in such a dire situation that I've returned to reacting to camera.
The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
I'm in such a bad situation that even if I was in the category of broke, I could sleep with a smile on my face tonight, but that's not going to happen. Anyway, you're not here to pity my situation. You're here because we are going to read through an article that I found on the BBC website titled £11 million boost for mental health research in community. First of all, any money that goes to mental health in this country, I fully back. Secondly, anything that involves being in the community, I also fully back. The only word that gives me cause for concern is research. I mean, how much more research do we need before we understand what the right interventions are? But maybe this article will shed some light on that. Written by Emma Stanley in the Northwest on the 27th of January 2026. Lancaster University has been awarded almost £11 million to move mental health research into the community. I don't know why they needed the money to move it into the community. I don't know, maybe they needed new locations or new staff or a whole training package for them to deal with communities, because I know a lot of researchers and they are not the most people-friendly individuals. They are more used to just being locked away in their little cubby holes, reading books, you know, like blowing the dust off of the written word and doing research that way. So it'd be quite interesting to see how they get along with actual real-life humans telling their stories. The university has been chosen as one of 5 newly created mental health research groups across England that will move research out of traditional clinical settings to work alongside residents to develop a more proactive, preventative model of care. Question: why haven't residents always been at the centre of their care? Could it be because of the model and nature of our economic system? I don't know, but I would have thought if you're treating someone, shouldn't they be involved in that? But not to nitpick or anything. But yeah, so far, working with residents, being in the community, tick, tick, tick. It said more than 13,000 people in Lancashire and South Cumbria have been diagnosed with a severe mental illness. Keyword there, diagnosed. There are so many people in this country right now walking around without any diagnosis, many of whom are currently sitting in the House of Commons. I mean, some of these MPs are off the rails if you look at their behaviour close enough. But hey, who am I? I'm not a professional. And also I was thinking 13,000 people in the Lancashire and South Cumbria area of England out of a possible 1.4 million residents there. May not seem like a lot to me and you, but obviously it must be that they were one of the areas to be selected for the £11 million boost. While Blackpool has the highest rate of deaths linked to addiction and suicide in England, anywhere where there are high rates of suicide or deaths linked to addiction need to be addressed as soon as possible. Like, anyone would agree with that. Am I right? Clinical psychology professor Stephen Jones said the new groups would lead to more accessible, effective support. Again, why was it not accessible before? Like, what type of support were you given? Just barrier after barrier. We've got support here, but we're not letting you near it. Sorry. Like, you have to go through a crystal maze to get your much needed life-saving support. Is really odd that we see these words pop out time and time again. To be honest, in my opinion, if those in power really wanted to address the problems, they just would. It's like, it'll be that simple. But again, every 3 years we see new initiatives, new campaigns developed. We see new research groups popping up to address the same problems that have been around for the last 200 years maybe. But maybe it'll be different this time, maybe. In partnership with the University of Manchester and King's College London, I've actually given a talk to the university students at King's College London. Yeah, I'm that guy. The researchers will work to destigmatize mental health conditions and support and involve people who really take part in research. I'm guessing they're referring to people who were previously termed hard to reach. And anyone that knows anyone, nobody is hard to reach. You just haven't put in the resources to go and find them where they are at. So it's great that this research has this at the forefront while accepting this £11 million boost. They will explore ways to support people with severe and complex mental health needs, particularly mothers and people suffering with substance abuse, while also encouraging attendance at GP health checks. Health checks are fantastic. I living in London currently can get a health check at my local pharmacy, and it's essentially height, weight, blood pressure check. But a GP health check is much more thorough than that, because I think they do some type of blood test to measure the glucose and something else in your blood, so they can do early detection of things like diabetes, heart disease, that type of thing. So I would recommend, if you can get a GP health check, and I think if you're above a certain age or if your local authority is paying for it, you can get it for free. There's nothing stopping you from knowing very early if you have any long-term condition. By embedding researchers within local community groups and primary care services, the initiative aims to reach people who have historically been underrepresented, the university said. Is another way of saying underserved, another way of saying previously hard to reach, another way of saying marginalized, another way of saying you just didn't care about those people, even though you knew they were most affected by either substance or suicide. You still didn't put in the legwork to make sure they were being reached. That's what that sentence is translated to. Professor Lucy Chappell, Chief Scientific Advisor at the Department of Health and Social Care, said, mental health challenges can be isolating, especially for people in some of our most underserved regions. Yeah, underserved. I like that we're shifting the way we describe this particular demographic in our communities. They're not hard to reach. They are underserved. I love to see it. Professor Chappell, you're goody in my book, okay? By moving our research focus out of traditional clinical settings and directly into the areas where people live and work, we are driving a fundamental shift towards a more preventative model of care in the community. Again, research is fine, like finding out what people really need in the community is fine, but if you want to really address what's happening, just send the resources into the communities with those people. You don't need to research it, I promise you. Just send the resources there. How about we just spend £11 million boost on just sending the professionals and resources there? And I know you must be screaming right now, but MKH, what about the jobs for the researchers? I don't know, research something else, like how AI is destroying the planet. I don't know, it could be doing anything else we don't know about. Research what's happening like I don't know, near endangered species in the Amazon or something. You don't need to research what works for people with severe mental health. Trauma-informed approaches work with people with severe mental health. Bringing the services where they live and they access helps people with severe mental health. That's all I'm saying. But I don't know, maybe this research will come up with something else. I don't know, maybe. We are committed to ensuring the latest innovations and support reach those who need it most, long before they reach a crisis point. Prevention over cure. It's interesting that this quote is in there because the MPs in UK Parliament know this. In fact, over like 25 years ago, MPs from the Health Committee travelled to Cuba to see how they managed to provide excellent healthcare while being under some of the harshest sanctions the world has ever seen. Sanctions delivered by yours truly, the USA. But yeah, the MPs know this. Like, they've got a whole report on it right there. So I don't understand why we're acting like this is a revelation in 2026. But again, I may be being too harsh. The funding comes from a £55 million investment via the National Institute for Health and Care Research. Other universities that will host the new groups include Plymouth, Keele, Lincoln and Huddersfield. Hi, post-production MKH here. So I decided to read that Health Committee report in much more detail, and you never guess what I found. So at the same time, while this Health Committee went to Cuba, they decided to make a few trips in the United Kingdom, and one of the locations they went was the Plymouth Health Action Zone. So 26 years ago, they went to Plymouth. Why did no one tell them? We saw this fantastic model in Cuba. No, that would have been too easy. So what did they do? 26 years later, let's give the folks £11 million so they can research what works in community health. Geniuses. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, makes sense now. All of this funding came from a research group. So it's not from like the Health and Social Care Department in national government. This comes from research. So obviously they're going to spend it on research. They're not going to spend it on intervention. They're going to spend it on more research so they can produce more papers that no one will read, apart from me. Maybe. I don't know. It depends how long it is. But yeah, what to say really? I personally, I don't think you need more research into what works. Like other places on the planet have come up with fantastic ideas to address and tackle health gaps faced by people with severe mental health, people with substance abuse. Even if you look at Trieste in northeast Italy, they have a fantastic model for addressing the homeless and rough sleeping population that was trialled and replicated and trialled in East London currently. So there are models out there that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. I'm trying to say, god damn. Gosh, that's it. That's the article. Thank you, BBC website, for that. And going forward, I'm going to be doing this type of thing more and more often. I really am a massive advocate of not only looking after one's mental health, but boosting your well-being, whatever shape or form that takes. And I know the biggest factor that affects anyone's mental health or well-being is poverty. So we're going to look at more content addressing those things specifically. Hopefully this research group in those 5 different universities across the country, and it's really interesting they haven't done this in London, and that's a good thing because everything almost gets launched in London. But at the same time, it's a bad thing because London has some of the highest levels of poverty in the country also. So hopefully with this research, it is £55 million. I don't know over what length of period it is, but maybe the research is so persuasive that the next government might be Farage. So never mind, scrap that. No one's ever going to read this research. No one's going to read this research once it's published. Even if no one reads the research, hopefully they also stress in their final paper, poverty is a massive factor. And if you address poverty, then a lot of the severe mental health, a lot of the substance abuse will be at least mitigated. But yeah, I don't know. Time will tell. Maybe we'll be around to see this research once it's published. I don't know. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Tell me your thoughts down below. Will £11 million boost in 5 different areas really make a dent in the mental health crisis that we are seeing? And will the research tell us anything new? So yeah, comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. And if you are someone, a woman maybe, and are interested in identifying red flags in relationships, I also do audiobooks. So down below, there's a link to my latest audio book. I didn't write it, but I did voice it. And hopefully from the snippet that is also there, you will begin to realize I have such a sultry voice that will guide you into a very, very deep sleep.
Oh, that's good for you, baby.
But anyway, that's all for me. Hope to see you soon and take care of yourself. Ciao.
I started a joke, which started the whole world. I started to cry, which started the whole world. I finally died, which started the whole world living. Oh, if I'd only seen that the joke was on me.